So a lot of people, when they talk about d4 openings, they often only talk about what if white goes d4 c4, and you know, like for example, if you play d5 c4 and now like you play your Slav or your QGD or whatever. I personally like the Nimzo, and I have some other videos on that on this channel, but still, like, they're not forced to go c4. And I was recording a couple games today, and I ran into a few opponents who didn't play c4, but one who played, well, the God forbid London, and another who actually played the Stonewall attack with white. So yeah, thought I'd dedicate this video specifically to those games, give you guys a rundown of like my live thoughts during the game, kind of like how to kind of understand and play some of these positions, and yeah, hope you guys enjoy it. Okay, I think we're here. So our guy's going for an early e3, so either he's gonna go for some sort of yeah, this is what I was thinking. So there's two sorts of things people usually go for when they go for a very early e3. One is they go for like this sort of collie system, which is a close relative of the dirty London. And since they didn't go knight f3, another very common thing they can do is play a Stonewall. But I don't think a Stonewall is that good for them, actually. And a large part of the reason is that we haven't locked in our light squared bishop. And also, one thing about the Stonewall setup is that it tends to be best when one side has already committed to fianchettoing their bishop. And so typically with black, when you see the Stonewall, it happens when white has already gone for g3. And in this case, also for rose colors, it's also stronger when black plays g6. And the reason is just that when black has played g6 and the bishop is on this square, this sort of Stonewall setup is very effective at kind of blunting the bishop. So like if they play the Stonewall before we commit to g6 or e6, one, we haven't blocked in this bishop with e6, and two, we also haven't played g6, committing that bishop to this diagonal. So there's a couple red flags going on that kind of are a telltale sign for why this Stonewall is not such a great version for them. Okay, now for a few moves you're seeing, what I'm doing is I'm just developing the pieces naturally. When they played bishop d3 though, you will see I played e6. I wasn't rushing with taking, and the whole reason is, right, if they ever take, I just recapture, and let's play, let's see, I think just queen c7 for now. But yeah, basically, like if we ever reach this sort of structure where they take on f5, what's really good for black is that we have a lot of control over e4, and they have control over e5, but we can always play f6 in the future to take control of that square, whereas they cannot, right? Because they've of course committed both of these pawns to these squares. But okay, let's see how it goes. So basically, I think in this position what we want to do is just play on the queen side. So like b5, b4, maybe c4 thrown in there as well. And okay, you see they're going for this sort of kingside attack, which okay is kind of an idea, but I don't think it's too dangerous. Like if they go rook h3, g4, I can always just play g6. So we have to be a little bit careful, but I'm not overly scared. One idea is also we could play knight d7, rook h3, f5 as well, if we really wanted to play that way. Of course that comes with the drawback that like now, you know, we don't have the option to play like f6 ourselves and never kick their knight out or kind of take control of the square ourselves, but it is sometimes an idea that you can go for. But yeah, I'm just gonna play b5 right now. Again, I'm not really tremendously scared of white going for g4, g5. They play a3, it's a illegal move, I suppose. Gonna go a5, just continue playing on this side of the board. Pretty standard stuff when playing against the Stonewall, just playing on the queen side. And I mean, okay, also I should say another thing that kind of contributes to not being so scared of this sort of kingside attack is also the fact that we've again traded off light squared bishops. They're good bishop since all of their pawns, keep in mind, are on light squares. So I think this is all in all looking quite nice for us. I should also note sometimes another idea, like if we can achieve it, is like to get our knight to e7, f5, d6, like remove our bishop from d6, play like bishop e7 once the knight's on f5, and then like get the knight onto e4. But that is a little bit difficult to achieve sometimes. A small compromise though could be, now that I think of it, could also be like knight e7, g4, and like queen b7. And the idea is to meet g5 with knight e4, just to plug up this diagonal and also make it so like when they play this, we don't have to really touch our kingside pawns. And we can also plug up this diagonal a little bit. So I actually like the look of that idea. I think I'm going to go for that. So knight e7. I kind of expect they're going to go g4. They could go... Actually, they could go knight g4. I didn't consider that. Knight g4 is kind of annoying. I guess knight g4, what we can do is maybe... They didn't go for that, so queen b7. But I think knight g4 would be annoying because in that position, we would have to pretty much play something like knight g6 and allow these double pawns. I don't think we're like necessarily worse, but it's definitely... Yeah, it wasn't part of the game plan, let's say. But okay, now at this point we're going to be plugging up the e4 square, and yeah, I think we're kind of chilling. And this is like a big thing in the Stonewall, right? Like, it's always this battle of like, because inherently when you put these pawns on like d4 and f4, what you're doing is you're just weakening this square a lot. So like, it's often a big deal that like you want to try and control the square. That's also another reason, I guess, why, apart from just like the basic positional reason of all your pawns being on dark squares, why you kind of don't want to let this bishop get traded off, because it's also, I mean, apart from just being like one of your best minor pieces, it's also the defender of the e4 square. So, yeah, knight e4 though. And I'm feeling pretty good, to be honest. So yeah, take. And now we get some squares for our pieces. I mean, I guess we already had f5. The moment they go g4, g5, by the way, like it's also always worth noting that we get the f5 square for our knight, for example. Okay, so they want to go queen h5. I think at the very least, I was thinking about this sort of situation earlier that we could go g6. And again, it looks a little bit scary, but I think if we go g6, I guess the one thing is maybe if g6, maybe they get knight g4, knight f6. So that's slightly scary. We need to be watching out for that. I was also thinking like take and then maybe g6. But if we go bishop takes, queen h5 could be slightly annoying, yeah? And then like we'd have to go probably h6, and then they can at the very least take, and yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that, to be honest. So okay, I have to think a little bit about this. So maybe one idea could be, yeah, so g6, knight g4, knight d5, just to try and hold that up. They can still go for this take, but I have some hope in that position. Well, for one thing, maybe we can play queen d5 and then like h5 to try and like block up the attack a little bit. So I'm gonna go, I think I'm gonna go g6 for now. If they play a queen g4 or something like this, we can take. If they go knight g4, I think knight d5. Looks like we're kind of, it's very shaky, to be honest. Yeah, okay. So yeah, I'm just trying to think. Feels like we went wrong somewhere to get here. But okay, well, now that they're not going knight g4, I think we just snap that off. I think that's like, we have to. Okay. And then the engine's gonna say afterwards that it was like -1 with like 10 different moves, and that the attack was could be ignored. But from a practical point of view, from my point of view, it seems like this is a good idea. And also I should say, when we get this on the board and we achieve knight of 5, I've seen this sort of configuration before, and although it looks like black's king can get easily attacked somehow, it's actually very interesting in the sense that, not the Vladimir Kramnik interesting, but maybe it could be that as well, but this knight and pawn combination actually make it very difficult for white to double up, like with this battery of like the queen and rook. Just worth noting. But maybe they're gonna like sack an exchange, take, and then try to go with something like that. I don't know if I believe in that, but okay, it's something that can be considered. So in the meantime, though, how do we prepare for war? I am thinking one idea could be to go like h5 to even block up stuff, but I think it could be a bit much. One thing is b4 to try and break through, but we always again have to be monitoring this sort of sack on f5 and then just like brute forcing their way in. I guess one thing I haven't thought about so much, but it is true, is that yeah, if like they ever get to this situation, we have a queen on e7, let's say, we could always play h5 there. The point being that when they're ready to play g takes h6, right at that moment, we have queen takes h4. And the reason that's important is we want to avoid something like this and them getting a mating threat on g7 when their pawn's on h6. So what does that all mean in terms of what we're going to do right now? Yeah, I think b4 is like what I want to do. And I think b4, like, because if they take this way and try to open the bishop up, and this hangs. If they take this way, then yeah, I think that's good news. So I'm gonna go b4. Maybe this will backfire, but I think if they sack on like f5 and whatnot and try to do this, we'll have queen e7 and h5 in time, I think. Yeah, so they're going for this. So I'm thinking now queen e7. There could be other things, but I just wanna... Oh wait, no, queen e7, what am I talking about? They have queen e4. So that's actually a slight issue I didn't notice before. Okay. Well, I guess worst case scenario... like we just go take, queen h4, h5 takes, king h7, queen f6, and rook g8, and just say they can't really break through there. So actually I think that kind of works out. And if they don't sack on f5, I'm really struggling to see what their plan is. So yeah, I think I'm reasonably happy with this arrangement, shall we say. Maybe they're gonna go, I don't even know what they do. Like, if they don't sack on f5, what is their plan, right? Because I think, positionally speaking, they're not doing well. So I think they have to bank on some sort of attack. And, well, they also have compensation. They're up 2 minutes on the clock. Because I keep talking. But, I'm gonna get a rook to b2. Can I just play queen b2? Do I really need my queen? Oh, I might need it there to defend some stuff there. I need to play quickly. That's always the problem. Okay, let's play rook c8. Idea being that in some cases I might want to activate my rook like this, and also potentially just make it so that if they, like, if we played queen b2 and they sacked, just giving us the option to maybe have some runway for our king and make sure we don't just get made in one, I think is an idea. But okay. Like, it's really reaching this boiling point though now where it's like, if they don't take, what do? Like, play king h1 or something? They might go for that actually. But then there's some issues on this diagonal, right? Like take and this, and then they'll have to really take this way, and then for example we get rook c2. So yeah, I like the sound of that. Again, if takes, queen h4, h5 takes, king h7, queen f6, and my plan was to play rook g8. I'm kind of seeing now maybe they have e6, but I think we can still take anywhere though, and it's not a big deal, at least not to my eyes. And maybe we can bring a rook along to the f file, and maybe in combination with that there's some sort of queen b1 stuff. But anyways, we're finally getting this. So I'm going to go h5 as we were kind of talking about. Honestly, now that I'm looking at this as well, oh no, I don't think we want to allow them to get h7 though. That's too much, because then this will be mate. So king h7. Also, I was delusional earlier. I was saying like e6 and the f file would be opened, but I noticed now it's not the case because we have the f pawn seeing the. Well, that's a good or bad thing. I'm not too sure, but I think this should be winning. So rook g8, and I mean this is a sort of scenario that we've had banking up for a while now. I don't see a clear breakthrough, and also Black's plan, meanwhile, is we just want to bring our queen into the defense and get rid of their queen. So queen d5 or something like this is something that we would like to go for. So bishop e1, I don't understand what the idea is. We could even play queen b1 actually. I mean, no, no, we cannot do that. Okay, queen d7. Maybe someday I'll understand what the idea is. Queen d5 actually I think would have been better maybe. Because if rook b1, there was sometimes ideas of queen a2 if their king like came here, for example. That might have been better. Oh well. No time to dwell over these things, but yeah, I can't see a clear way for them to break through. Like, maybe it's by... How does that work? Am I stupid? I think we can take, yeah? Okay, I'm gonna take. Well, I guess by not going queen d5, they gave us the free pawns, so I guess some things in life work out that way. But yeah, like queen e6 is coming next. We're gonna get rid of the queen, and rook g3. I do not understand what that does. Maybe they're trying to get us to take. That's that would be funny if that's their idea. But yeah, if they go king f2, then queen a2 now is going to be pretty much made. They're going to have to give this up. So yeah, okay, just as we were saying, and I think we can pretty safely pre-move this unless they spawn. Okay, I'm quite glad I did not play that by accident. Yeah, shit, what do we do? Okay, queen c4. So you kind of have to come back here. It's annoying because we... Okay, no, I'm just going to go queen e6. There can't be anything too wrong with this. Because we want to get our rook in, but the issue is that we can't move the rook because their queen is here. And I, for some reason, couldn't see a mate with like just using these guys. So this is how we're going to have to do it. Rook a8. Okay, so rook a2. Okay, rook e2 I think now. And I'm like, come on, this is just not a good sign. We're not even going to take that. Okay. Yep, and that's a good game. Okay, worth checking out a few things there. There were a couple things I felt a little bit iffy about. It will be interesting to see what the engine said, but yeah, I think around here was one of the kind of most interesting moments of the game where it's like strategically or positionally maybe I think White's position is quite suspicious, but the only problem is whether they actually, okay, yeah, the computer says like 97 was a mistake, G6, okay, had to be the thing, and I assume, yeah, knight G4 was the reason, yeah, and okay, it wants us to go 94, wow, okay, I wasn't thinking about 94 necessarily, and then H6, yeah, I probably wouldn't have played that, to be honest. I was thinking knight G6, and I wasn't too fond of this position, and okay, that's an interesting point actually. We're almost okay if we get an F5, but they just get an F5 one move before we consolidate the pawn structure, and then it's pretty desperate for us, like, because this pawn structure is okay, like this is sort of the like all one pawn island, but the moment they get F5, it's like if we go back, then takes and we lose material because this and this. But if we take and we avoid that, then like these, the pawn kind of island gets split up, and then strategically we're much worse. So like, yeah, our king's a little bit weak, but if we get F5, it's probably salvageable, but okay, yeah, that makes sense. And then afterwards, seems like we were doing alright, but again, yeah, G6, knight G4, and I was saying like something like this, and I was not so sure about it. Seems like we're kind of okay. But yeah, after this, then like this position I thought was like really strategically bad for them, and it looks like after that, yeah, the engine is pretty much in agreement with that, and all of this stuff was kind of alright. And yeah, this H5 stuff all calculated, and yeah, they just have no way to really break through. But yeah, at this point probably G6 was the way to go. Like again, this 97 Queen B7 thing, strategically speaking, it was, I think, sound. It was just concretely there was a bit of a problem with it. But I want to come back to this point, so I wasn't so sure in this position. So knight F5, Queen H5, H6, and okay, you do this. Yeah, I guess. And takes, I guess we're not concerned about this. Like Rook G8 is going to be coming. It's a bit of an issue if they go like H7, Queen G7 at the very least, and we swap queens off. It's also giving F6. I guess. Yeah, maybe take. They go here, maybe just H6. Yeah, just H6, and we. I guess if the attack here runs out of steam eventually, what's going to matter are the more positional factors. Again, the fact that this bishop's not such a great piece. So, yeah, pretty classic Stonewall game. Okay, so they're berserk, so we have to berserk back. It's a forced move. Fuck me. Okay. So, yeah, sometimes this will happen in life, right? Like, you'll just be going about your day, and then someone will come up to you and be like, I play the London system, and then life just gets a lot worse. I don't think any explanation is needed for why. It just does. It's a waste of space on this this Earth, but okay, that's a topic for another day. Anyway, so b6, let's go for this. My idea is, like, instead of developing the knight so quickly, maybe we can, when they play bishop d3, just try to swap off the light squared bishops. And if they go bishop c2 and avoid that, then they're going to have some castling issues. But they don't, so okay. we'll do this, and they're a London player, so they'll probably just swap a bunch of pieces. We'll go take, 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 and we'll be in a very equal-ish position. You know, some London players are more dignified and they might try to keep pieces on, but somehow my opponent doesn't give off those vibes, and I am completely 100% correct. They do not. Okay, let's go rook b8. Also, London system players in the way kind of remind me, if any of you guys are like into the gym, it's like if you have like a friend that you tell to like, you should come to the gym with me, and they're like, oh no, I don't want to get like too big. It kind of feels like what London system players are like in kind of a way. They're like, oh no, I don't want to like get too good at chess. I just, yeah, this London system thing, it will do. It's like, bro, it's not gonna happen. Like, it's really not. But yeah, that's always what London system players have kind of felt like to me, with the gym analogy. I think that's the perfect like way to put it, to be honest. Like, there's no better. No one has expressed that as well, I think, on the internet as we have just then. But knight e4. Well, one thing I was thinking of was b4, and if they take, it's kind of going to be a bit problematic. But one thing I didn't like was if we take there, they can take with the rook. But now the way we've done it, the 19s, so they can't do that. But anyways, so maybe let's go a6. Just short this up. You could go b4 immediately, but I kind of want to double up first. And also, if they played f3 now, it's quite a weakening move, which, yeah, I don't think they should play. If they go e4, by the way, e5. Yeah, so we can take first, which maybe gives them the option to actually not lose a piece. So let's just go e5, we'll give them the pawn, but yeah, we'll get the piece at the very least. And yeah, a pretty classic London system game, what can I say? Try to swap all the pieces off, and then hangs tactic. Like, some people will say, he also did this little pipsqueak leave the game? I could not have thought of a more iconic thing for a London system player. Wow, they're all the same, aren't they? They all do the same crap. They like swap a bunch of pieces, they hang a tactic, and then they leave the game. Such terrible sportsmen. He came back. Is he gonna resign, or is he gonna just let his time run out? No, he actually plays a move. Okay. It'd be funny if this guy's actually watching the video, if in which case, Mr. Yaroslav, just know it's all in good fun. Probably. Yeah, how do we do this? Maybe queen. I feel like just b4. Surely it's got to be. Yeah, b4. Get c4 in, and it looks kind of good, but nah. I mean, it can't be. a5, and yeah, the problem is that they're just tied down to defending this, right? Like, they can't bring in more pieces to attack. And I mean, even if they do, what are they attacking? Like, f7's perfectly defended. The moment they move this, then d4 will hang. They can't even give a check on e8 because it's all covered. Yeah, like, nah, it's just game, right? It is just game. a4, b3. Doesn't have to be more complicated. Yeah, but we just take, yeah. Take b3. Chess is very simple when you have a good position, that is. And also when you're playing a London system player, that tends to help. But anyways, knight c4, do we have this? Just keeping simple, queen c5, just to keep the knight defending some key squares, just keep the position stable, not even allowing the slightest chance of counterplay, which never existed to begin with. But yeah, if they move the queen, then we push, and life is very good. But am I missing something? I know I'm asking that after I take, but like, that's my way of saying free piece. And yeah, let's just check that out real quick. I mean, we don't really need to analyze the London system game, I guess, do we? But bishop d3, bishop a6 already. I think like bishop d3 is a more typical move order, and I think like in this position, I've seen like h4 as an idea. And the idea is that they keep the knight defending e4, and they have options like this that are sometimes open. But yeah, this I thought was pretty nice. I mean, queen e2 doesn't strike me as a critical move, like letting us, because I mean at the very least they should take on a6 and force our knight onto a slightly awkward square, and very often what we have to do is reroute back to b8 and c8, b8 and c6, sorry. So whenever they see that, I'm always pretty happy. c4 I'm seeing is like a thing among the engine lines, but rook b8 wants to go c4 immediately. It's fair enough, I guess. But this I felt was pretty comfortable position. Again, like the real problem is in this position, right, is if you think about it, like e4 is not possible, c4 is not possible. So black basically just has complete control over the position, and yeah, it's very difficult for white. They just kind of have to sit a little bit, and yeah, like when they start playing moves like f3, it starts to make the position worse, and then when they play e4, then they just throw away the whole game, right? So yeah, that was that, I guess. Pretty typical game, yeah. Nothing special.